welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger. So good to be joining you again today, whenever I'm catching you, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're listening to this radio show or the podcast. As a reminder, that's a good plug. You can find the podcast, if you're listening to this on the radio, you can find the podcast in your favorite podcast app, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Just type in Geek Therapy Radio and look for the red, white, and black color scheme. And that's me. As I'm recording this morning, I've got baby boy, my son, downstairs in the living room. So I've got my door open so I can listen to him, what he's doing. I've got the baby monitor too, so I can see what he's doing. But if you hear my son make a little appearance in the background of the radio show, as he's done in times prior, that's what it is. It's nobody screaming, nobody's getting murdered. It might just be, I need to run downstairs to get my son who might be, stuck in something or frustrated at a toy or something like that. But speaking of being a dad, I think if you follow me on Twitter, I think I mentioned this on Twitter. I don't think I mentioned this on Instagram or Facebook, but definitely on Twitter. I had the most dad gamer moment of my life so far. So you might be thinking, there are a lot of fathers out there who like to play video games. You might be thinking dad gamer. Oh, well, maybe dad gamer moment is where you're holding your child, who's drinking milk. You're feeding your child, but you're also holding an Xbox controller or a PlayStation controller, and you're playing a video game while your child is momentarily satiated while feeding. No, not exactly that. Or you might be thinking, dad gamer, you just put your child to bed and now you have an hour or two before you go to bed where you can actually play games. No, nothing like that. The dad gamer moment I had, and I realized it was one of those really cathartic existential moments where you're just like, man, what am I doing? What is the significance of what I am doing right now? And it just kind of makes you smile and laugh at yourself a little bit. On my Steam wish list, I had Lawn Mowing Simulator in my wish list. So what that means is, if for the one person out there who doesn't have Steam, when you put a game on your wish list, and I guess it's the same thing with anything, Amazon, whatever, shopping, you put something on your wish list so that you get notifications or emails or updates on, the price changing or the availability of this item. So on Steam, sorry, I've got some stuff in my throat. Sorry. Still recovering from that. So on Steam, you put a game on the wish list and you get an email. Hey, the price has changed on this game. It's on sale. So I got an email from Steam saying that Lawn Mowing Simulator is currently on sale, 20% off. It's like $16 or something like that. And I was like, oh, dang. Lawn Mowing Simulator is on sale. I got to get Lawn Mowing Simulator. And it just hit me as I was about to as I was hitting purchase. I've bought it. Don't worry about that. As I was hitting purchase, I was like, this is the most dad gamer I have ever been so far. Not only do I like to mow the lawn occasionally, now I'm buying a video game about mowing the lawn. How like meta is that? How dad is that? And it's a video game. That is the ultimate dad gamer moment in my life, is that I was excited to buy Lawn Mowing Simulator. Not only was I excited to buy Lawn Mowing Simulator, I've only played it for 5 minutes, and I'll explain why it was only 5 minutes in a moment. But I only played it for 5 minutes, so I haven't seen every nook and cranny of the game. But as of right now, there's 3 lawnmowers it starts you out with, that I could find at least, and they're all ride-on lawnmowers. One of them is side discharge, one of them is collecting, meaning it collects the clippings in a container in the back of the lawnmower, and the other one is mulching. So the first one I used was the side discharge, but that's not the point. I was like, I just want the push mower. Where's the little Toro, push motor that not even self-propelled? I want a lawnmower in the game that's just the crappy little half-busted lawnmower that most of us had as kids, that your dads... So here's the story with my lawnmower. Maybe I've told this a long time ago on Geek Therapy Radio, we had this lawnmower growing up, which was at one time a nice lawnmower. When my dad was using it, it was a nice lawnmower. It was a self-propelled lawnmower. It wasn't a ride-on lawnmower. We didn't have a big enough yard for that, and my dad wouldn't have let us have one anyways. He'd be like, nope, you're pushing across. However big our yard is, you're pushing this darn thing. So anyways, it was self-propelled, and I got the fancy idea. It's like, man, I'll just put on some rollerblades, and I will let the lawnmower pull me along behind it. And I did that a couple times and thinking I was a genius. And my dad didn't stop me. He just goes, okay. Like in that kind of dad way, like, you're about to learn a lesson. All right, go for it. So I did it a couple times. The direct drive mechanism broke. And I was like, Dad, the direct drive on the lawnmower broke. It won't push itself. And now it's really, really heavy to use. And he's like, yep. I was like, can we fix it? Nope. You are going to have to mow the lawn for the rest of your time with this lawnmower for years with the direct drive not working. And when the direct drive doesn't work on a direct drive motor, it just adds resistance. It's a broken mechanism you're pushing against. It's not like a lawnmower that you push yourself or, a free-flowing lawnmower. No, it was difficult. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. Thank you so much for joining me. Real quick, again, if you're listening to the radio, you can always grab the Geek Therapy Radio podcast in your favorite podcast player. So Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, all that good stuff. You can also check me out at geektherapyradio.com. That's a good way to get in touch with me. So I want to finish up the lawn mowing simulator video game story that I started in the first segment there. I want to tell you why I've only played it for 5 minutes thus far. So the other day, my wife leaves for class, and it's just me and baby boy, and I kind of think, oh, okay, well, I can turn the TV off of Coco Melon for a little bit and maybe play a video game. Oh, yeah, I just downloaded Lawn Mowing Simulator. So I'm kind of sitting there in my son's play area in the living room. It's like, oh, daddy time, baby boy time. I can play a game and interact with my son. So I fire up Lawn Mowing Simulator, and I'm standing in the middle of this play area holding the Xbox controller. By the way, an extra little geek note here. I'm doing this over Steam Link on my NVIDIA Shield TV. So Lawn Mowing Simulator is actually running on my laptop upstairs in the solar-powered studio. And I'm basically piping it downstairs through my NVIDIA Shield TV onto the giant 70-inch TV downstairs. So anyways, playing Lawn Mowing Simulator, my son's right next to me, and he's standing up, and he's kind of holding my knee, watching the screen with me. And I start mowing the lawn, and it looks like a lawn maybe in Britain. I just did the kind of, the free mow mode where you can you're not going into career mode. I just want to mow a friggin' lawn, and you just started mowing a lawn. It's kind of like in golf when you play golf games. It's like, do you want to start a career, do a tournament, or just stroke play, just free play? I just want to do that. I just want to play golf. So in this, I just wanted to mow a lawn. And so I start mowing the lawn, and it's quite realistic in the way that you don't just, push the throttle or push the direction stick forward. You don't push the analog stick forward and just start mowing. No, you have to lower the cutting deck. You have to engage the blades. You have to increase the throttle. Like, there's all sorts of things you got to do, just like in real life, to get a lawnmower to work. You have to start the engine and everything. And I like that a lot. And I knew I probably would like that a lot because I like Flight Simulator a lot, and I like games that are very simulation-y. So if it was just a game where, just press start and you're going to be, mowing the lawn. Nope. You press this to start the engine, press this to lower the deck, press this to engage, engage the clutch to get the blade spinning and da-da-da-da-da. Adjust the height, all that kind of stuff. I don't think there was a choke on this one. And there's still lawnmowers like this today, but I vividly remember as a kid, you have to adjust the choke of the lawnmower. You put it wide open. You run it really rich to start, just like an airplane. You run it really rich to start, and then you pull it back to a more lean mixture to get the air and the fuel mixture just right so the engine is operating at its optimum. Hold on a second. I got to pause it. You know what? I'm going to leave it going because Jack, the cat, just walked into my son's nursery, and I'm going to keep the mic on while you hopefully will hear me yelling at him. Jack, get out. Dumb cat. I hate Jack. If anyone can hear me right now, I really want to give Jack away, but I know what I would have to do is probably pay somebody to take him. I would probably have to pay somebody a monthly fee to take him. There might be somebody out there, and I'm being facetious. I'm not offering Jack up to my audience here, but you think I'm being facetious. You think there's an owner out there, a cat lover out there who'd be like, oh, I'll take Jack for free. I'll give him a loving home. He will drive you to insanity. This is the worst cat in the world. Anybody who's listened to my show for more than a couple months has heard the tale of Jack ad nauseum, as I'm doing again right now, getting butthurt talking about my stupid cat Jack. He is an a-hole and is loved by none. Oh gosh, I'll get back to the lawn mowing story in a second. Lawn mowing simulator. I was talking to my wife the other day. I said, the number one reason why you hate Jack, and I don't use the H word willy-nilly, it's a very strong word. I said, the reason I hate Jack, one of the main reasons I hate Jack is that he has made our lives a living hell the entire time that he's been alive and that I've been in this relationship. And that's not the reason why I hate him. The reason why I hate him is that when he dies, I'm going to miss him. A little part of me is going to miss him, and I'm going to be angry as I'm burying him in a gigantic hole in the backyard. Gigantic hole. You might as well make it human-sized hole, and I'm just going to be digging, and we're going to be burying him, and I'm going to be mad because I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be pissed that a part of me misses him a little bit. Overall, it's going to be relief. Don't get me wrong here. Overall, and I don't wish him to die. I'm not going to say on air that I wish him to die anytime soon. That's for darn sure. But I don't wish him any harm. But it just pisses me off to know that when he's gone, a little part of me is going to miss. Oh, I hate that I miss you, Jack. I hate that I miss you. You are such an ass. I don't want you back, but I hate that I miss you. I'm having such this experience. This cat boils my blood. I'm going to stop thinking about it before I have a conniption or a stroke. Lawn mowing simulator, playing lawn mowing simulator with my son in his playpen, and he's standing up and he's holding my knee watching me play. So I'm playing it for a few minutes, going around a hedge, trying to avoid like rocks in the yard. And my son just starts kind of crying, like something's hurting him. Any parent knows that kind of different. It's not just a whine; it's an actual cry that something is like legitimately scaring him, or he's hurt or something like that. And so I'm playing the game. I look down. I was like, "What's going on, baby boy?" And I reach back, down and to kind of pat his head and his back a little bit. "What's going on, baby guy?" And he keeps crying for another, 20 seconds. I was trying to figure out what's going on. Do you have to poop? Did you poop? I'm like smelling his diaper and everything. He was upset at the noise of the lawnmower, and you can hear him crying in the background. I got to go check on him. But he was upset at the sound of the lawnmower coming through the speakers, so I had to stop playing, and that's why I only played for 5 minutes. All right, baby boy, I'm coming. Radio dad. All right, I'm back. Boy is currently happy. He was getting frustrated that he couldn't pull up his playmat, and it was because he was sitting on the playmat itself. So he's a learning boy. He turns 1 year old in a matter of days as of recording this radio show right now. So our little guy's going to turn 1. Little Riker. My number 1. Oh, that reminds me, and I'll tell this story on the way out. That concludes, by the way, my farming simulator story. or not farming simulator, lawn mowing simulator story. I can't wait to dive into it a little bit deeper, but I'll have to find the time to do that, and maybe I'll talk about it again once I dig a little deeper. Lawn mowing simulator isn't anything that's, brand new. It's been out for a little bit, but I'm excited to dive into it a little bit deeper. So, what was the story I was going to tell? What was that story? Oh yeah, my son's name is Riker, and it reminded me of this. So this week, I took most of the vehicles to get inspected. The Bolt got inspected just fine. It's an EV. The guy had never seen an EV before in person. Took my wife's Jetta up there, no problem. Took Rowdy up there, 2010 Audi S5 up there, no problem. I have to go to the tax office, though, to complete that since the registration's been out for so long because of COVID. And I haven't taken the DeLorean yet. But when I took Rowdy up there, one of the mechanics said, I bet you could, he saw the decal on the back, my Star Trek Federation sticker decal on the back. He goes, I bet you can make money betting people to guess what that symbol is. And I was like, I don't think so. I think a lot of people would probably still recognize it even today. So he asked the other mechanic, hey, Billy, what do you think that symbol means? He's like, what? Is it like some church or something? And the guy turns to me, he's like, see, you would have made $100. And I was like, I feel a little bit sad now. I like that you know it. It saddens me that the other guy doesn't. Anyways, more Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger. You can find the Geek Therapy Radio podcast, if you're just listening on the radio, in your favorite podcast player. So the iHeartRadio app, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, Pocket Cast, whatever. Just type in Geek Therapy Radio and look for the red, white, and black color scheme. Also, you can just go to the website to contact me directly. It doesn't sign you up for any mailing lists at all. It literally just sends me an email saying, hey, Ed has written you an email, which reminds me, I need to respond to you, Ed. I think I've said that the past 3 podcasts in a row. Goodness gracious. I have talked to Asaf. What's up? What's going on, brother? I talked to him for a while on Twitter, just DMs and Twitter, because it was a particularly terrible night for Riker. He was waking up. He had a stomach bug. He was sick. So I'm sitting there, rocking Riker, and I'm talking to Asaf about, I hope you don't mind me telling people about this, Asaf. It's nothing, terribly personal, but I just like engaging in people's geek things. And I didn't know I was going to get off on this tangent right here, in the third segment. Can this phone just please not make noise now? Anyways, Asaf was telling me in this conversation that he was designing a desk. He had 3D modeled a desk, and it was a really, really cool design. And he sent me a few different angles of this desk that he designed that includes like hanging monitors so that he has more desk space. It was really, really cool. So I'm telling you all this because I like to talk to you all about this sometimes. And sometimes you can catch me. If y'all catch me at a moment where I'm sitting there and, feeding Riker or something like that, and hey, I might have time to have an actual conversation with you in real time. And I love doing that. And I love hearing from y'all out there. I love hearing the geek things you're interested in. Ed, he's a pilot, and I believe, if I recall right, he's working on more jet certification. I think he just got some training or certified, and I'm sure, Ed, you're going to email me after this. In a 737, I believe, a jumbo, and it's really cool. Ed has a YouTube channel, and I'm going to let me look that up real quick. I want to tell my listeners about Ed's YouTube channel because he's a pilot. He takes really cool videos from the cockpit, and it's a really cool channel. But let me look it up real quick and give him some love. So I'm going to pause it real quick. Hold on. Actually, Ed, will you contact me again to let me know if I can share your channel? Because it looks like it might be kind of a private affair. So just let me know. Fill me in. And if you have some sort of official channel, just let me know, and I'll share it with my audience here. Because I'm going back to look at the links that you shared with me, and they're unlisted. And the name of the YouTube channel makes me think that it might be sort of a private thing. So I'm not going to share it right now. But if you have something that you do want me to share, Ed, let me know. So I was going through my emails here. Maybe this is a good segment to go through, like listener emails, without too much detail, obviously. So, Asaf, I see your email here. Oh man, what was the last one? It was Magic and Oh, I forgot about this. So, Asaf lives in Israel, and apparently he sends me like these messages and things, and like apparently like retro tech just kind of falls out of the sky in Israel. And he's like, hey, I passed this like vintage computer, this kind of rare vintage computer just in the street, and they're giving it away. And oh, you lucky. So anyways, a while back he found a digital audio tape, like a DTRS tape, and he finally was able to find a studio with a machine that let him hear the audio or hear the information contained on that tape. And it turns out that it was a Russian dubbing of a Bruce Lee film. And I was like, dude, I need the audio files for that. I want to share it on the show, which I will do. Asaf, I went back to the link just now while I was recording, and it says that the transfer is not available anymore. So I may have to send you another email requesting to re-upload it or something like that, because I do want to share that eventually on a show. Just a little snippet of it, just a few seconds, because I think it'd be funny and interesting to hear a Russian dubbing of a Bruce Lee film. Oh, what was the film? You just told me here in the email. It was a Russian dubbing of Game of Death. So that will be fascinating to hear. What's another listener email here? We have... Oh, Anderson, what's going on, man? Yeah, so Anderson is my boy, and he lives down in South America, and he's always filling me in on audio equipment that he's come across and cassette tapes. He's really into cassettes, and he blames me. I'm sorry for that, Anderson, that I got you into cassettes. I think it's a complex relationship sometimes with cassettes and cassette machines, but it's all worth it. And we both agree that it's totally worth it to be invested in cassettes. It's a very rewarding hobby to be into. Who else here? Who else in my emails? Kenzo in the Netherlands. Brother, yeah, I saw the email a while back. I'm sorry I forgot to respond to it. So I got some birthday emails, and this is one from Kenzo. Kenzo, I believe if memory serves, did you recently come across like a Super Nintendo, or I think it was a Sega Genesis or a Sega Master System, and maybe a Super Nintendo or a Nintendo, and you have an old CRT, you found a CRT, and you were going to show your son some retro video games, if memory serves. So that's really cool. I'm really just floored that for whatever my audience size is, the size of the audience has never been particularly important to me. And I've explained this before. I said, whatever my show does, it's going to grow organically. I'm never going to sell out what I do here. And believe me, I thought about this the other day, that when I was working in the building with iHeart and the nationally syndicated shows that I was producing, I could have at any moment engaged a beneficial relationship with those hosts who I still know and are still friends now. I could have gained massive exposure over the years, developing a relationship with these nationally syndicated shows, because the host would say, oh, producer Johnny over there with his show Geek Therapy Radio, blah, blah, blah. And I could have, my audience could be easily, and I'm not just being facetious with this, it could be hundreds of thousands. I could have hundreds of thousands of downloads every week if I would have built a relationship with these giant mega shows that have millions of listeners every single day. But I didn't do it because I was very careful. I was very careful about my associations, and that doesn't mean that I dislike or disapprove necessarily of what these other hosts' platforms for, but I had seen so much of how the sausage is made in radio that I knew with absolute certainty that there would be a little bit of soul selling on my part and selling out on my part if I used somebody else's platform to build my platform just because they were more famous than me, just because they had more listeners than me. And it basically came down to the motto of my show is that we are all geeks about something, and that no matter your politics, no matter your religion, no matter your walk of life, no matter your orientation, everybody is welcome in Geek Therapy Radio because we are all geeks about something, and that's something that we all have in common. No matter if you're gay, straight, transgender, black, white, Asian, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, libertarian, it doesn't matter. We all have these passions that we share. All those groups I just mentioned, within those groups, a lot of them love video games. We all love video games. A lot of us love movies and reading and books, and the same hobbies. Maybe a lot of us within those groups are into music. We all share that, but that wasn't the shows that I was a part of. Let's just be honest, and I'm not taking a dig at anybody or anything, because everybody has the right and freedom to have whatever kind of radio show they want. I worked for a decidedly conservative talk radio station, and the shows that I was a part of and producing were conservative talk radio shows. They were polarizing. Their very nature was to be divisive in an entertaining way. It was entertainment. I mean, nobody should listen to the radio and think that they're listening to anything more than entertainment. That's the name of the game, is entertainment. Entertainment trumps, entertainment takes priority over like fact checking. And I'm not saying that they were lying. I'm just saying that it's about being sensational, and I just wasn't about that, and I don't blame them for being that. I do think a better job needs to be done on the radio, period, of like making it known to the audience that you're listening to commentary, you're listening to satire. A lot of this, it's just you're listening to comments and its opinions, because a lot of people confuse it with like actual truth, and it gets them all fired up, and it's like, well, what you've listened to isn't necessarily completely accurate. It's an entertainment. It's just entertainment, and I don't blame people for that. I don't blame the host for that. Don't blame the listeners for that. But I didn't want to ride those coattails. I didn't want Geek Therapy Radio being associated with one very specific polarized worldview, and that's why I didn't use those shows to build my show to millions of listeners. It's going to grow organically, and I love y'all for it. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. You've got your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger, geektherapyradio.com for much more. You can also find the Geek Therapy Radio podcast if you're listening to this on the radio. Favorite podcast player. So think Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, all the good stuff. Just type in Geek Therapy Radio, or maybe even Geek Therapy Radio podcast, and look for the red, white, and black color scheme. You can also ask your Alexa or your smart speaker to play the Geek Therapy Radio podcast. Sometimes I think it depends. I ask my device to play it, and it plays it just fine. You might have to repeat it a couple times. I don't know. Let me know, though, those of you who are familiar with the show and the intro and everything, that have smart speakers, let me know if it works. Just try it if you want to. Ask your smart speaker to play the Geek Therapy Radio podcast, and let me know if it works on your end. Or don't. You don't have to. You're not obligated, obviously. Anyway, so I want to keep you up to speed, to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing the past week or so. So, as most of y'all know, I work for the Houston Museum of Natural Science. I'm the YouTube channel manager over there. And long story short, we've just started production. I've just started filming a documentary, for lack of a better word, with the Egyptian community in Houston. And there's quite a community of Egyptians in Houston. So I've been meeting with the Egyptian consulate here in town, talked to many different people, and we started filming. I guess you would call it principal photography. Yesterday, I met with a guy who's a friend now. I call him a friend now because he's a friend. Ahmed Muhammad Farid. Where's his email or his Instagram? I'll show you his Instagram. He's got 250,000 followers on Instagram. Ahmed, let's see. Yeah, okay. It's Ahmed Farid Official. So AhmedFaridOffical. Ahmed Farid Official. He's an international actor and artist, and he currently lives in Houston. And basically, it's like the principal photography. The idea for this, the start of this documentary is a day in the life of an Egyptian in Houston. So a day in the life of Ahmed Mohammed Farid, and he's a beautiful artist. Like, he's a good actor. I mean, a great actor, obviously. He's been in tons and tons of different things. He's very, very famous in that region of the world. He played a main character in the Arabic adaptation of Ugly Betty. So he's very, very famous in that part of the world. And he's in Houston now working on his art. So we're following him around, and it was just a beautiful day yesterday. Ahmed is just a beautiful soul, and he's a hunk too. He's a good-looking guy, if I may be so blunt. As a straight married man, my son is screaming in the background. Let's see what that's about. Okay, so I'm back, and I have Riker with me. So he's going to join me for the remainder of this last segment of the show. He currently has a pacifier in his mouth, but it's only a moment until that probably comes out and he starts talking with me, or babbling. We'll see. So we were filming with Ahmed Mohammed Farid yesterday, and it went just beautifully. I can't wait for y'all to see that. I don't want to explain the whole project. It coincides with a new exhibit coming to the Houston Museum of Natural Science. So the release schedule kind of it relates to that. It should be around mid-November-ish. Don't quote me directly. I'm not sure how much I can actually say, but it's really cool, and I'm so elated to be part of that project. I want to tell you just something anecdotally. So a week or two ago, I released a new video on my YouTube channel where I recorded a podcast, and then I put visuals over it so you can see what I'm talking about. And it was a very beautiful... It's one of my favorite uploads that I've done to my YouTube channel. It's a long format, but I did chapters and everything so people can skip around to see. The main point of the podcast was what we can theoretically expect from, Facebook announcement regarding new Oculus Quest 2 Pros, or maybe Quest 3s or Quest 2 Plus or whatever. It was speculation on that front. But the podcast, it talked a lot about the DeLorean, the arcade machine, and kind of showed you up close about those things. Riker, he keeps reaching for the pop filter of the microphone. So the anecdote with that is, I don't expect that to be a video that does, particularly well. I think it's doing okay for my channel. To let you know how my channel goes as far as stats and numbers, I've got a PSP video that has probably close to 300,000 views at this point. But what I typically upload kind of gets a few hundred in a short amount of time. There's other videos I have on there that have tens of thousands of views. The most popular video I have right now is I hesitate to say this, but it's basically recharging non-rechargeable alkaline batteries. I don't do it at your own risk. I'm not telling my viewers and listeners to just pop alkaline batteries into battery chargers. That's a very dangerous idea. But in the video, I still explore the possibility in a safe way. So that's doing well. What's another one that's doing well? I did a video about the Q6600, the Intel quad-core Q6600, if it's still viable today, and it turns out it is for most things. So videos do like hundreds of thousands of views or 100 or so views, a couple hundred views, and that's kind of what the last podcast upload is doing. It's like fourth out of the last 10. It's doing the fourth best out of the last 10 I've uploaded. Whatever, that wasn't really the point. I just wanted to give my listeners something that they could catch up with me with, like just see my face and kind of and bond with me for a little bit. The anecdote there, if this hasn't already been a big long anecdote, is that you can see the stats for the videos, including like how many subscribers the videos have gained or lost. So for instance, the PSP video that's doing well, it's like you've gained over 1,000 subscribers from this video. Oh, the rechargeable batteries, you've got like 100 subscribers from this video. The videos that do well gain subscribers. And so this last podcast video that I uploaded, it's one of my favorite uploads that I've ever done, but according to the stats, I've lost 2 subscribers so far from it. And the kind of point there is, and I guess this might be one of the last points I make here in the show, is if you're a creative, there's a barrier. I think a lot of people have to encounter in sharing their art and their creations and their content, is that a lot of people would see that you've lost 2 subscribers for that video or whatever, and then like they would really soak that in. They would really, oh gosh, everything's collapsing around me. People don't like what I'm doing or whatever. The video, by the way, doesn't have any dislikes. I don't believe it's only likes, but it's still, according to the stats, I lost subscribers, and it made me think like, wow, did those 2 people just hate what I did here and just unsubscribed? Or it could be that they maybe deleted their YouTube accounts or something else happened, or maybe they really just didn't like the video and they unsubscribed. Right, boy? Is that right, guy? Would you subscribe to Daddy's YouTube channel? And the pacifier back in the mouth. So when you put yourself out there, you're going to accept some criticism. You're going to see things that maybe aren't even criticism, but you ingest it in the wrong way. Ahmed and I talked at length yesterday. And John, our cinematographer, awesome guy. We had these very deep, spiritual, existential conversations yesterday that took up the bulk of the recording time. But I wanted to hear these stories and get inside his head and know his heart a little bit more, so that I could do justice telling his story of an Egyptian in Houston and telling the story of his culture. I didn't want to do a disservice by glancing on anything. No, let's have a deep conversation. Let's get to know each other. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I guess that's how I'd wrap it up. I started with saying, creating content and putting content out there can be stressful, and ended with talking about getting to know Ahmed. So go to his Instagram, Ahmed Fareed Official. Give him a sub. He'd love it. I'm going to end with this. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of giving and receiving love, and you're worthy of your own self-respect. Right, boy? Thank you so much for listening to Geek Therapy Radio. GeekTherapyRadio.com. I love you all, and I'll see y'all next week. Take care.